Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're discussing something that sounds almost like science fiction, an AI vision quest in Lapland that's designed to transform corporate leadership. Sam, when you first heard about this, what was your initial reaction?
Honestly, Alex, I was skeptical. Corporate retreats in exotic locations often feel like expensive team-building theater. But after digging into the neuroscience and the actual curriculum, this one seems genuinely different. The fusion of wilderness immersion with EU AI Act compliance training is clever, maybe even necessary.
That's a great setup. So we're talking about a 7-day retreat in Finnish Lapland that blends personal mentorship, AI agent building, and leadership coaching. But let's start with the elephant in the room. Why would executives trade their office for the Arctic? What's the strategic logic here?
It comes down to cognitive science, actually. Research from the University of Michigan shows that time in wilderness environments increases cognitive flexibility by 40% and enhances creative problem-solving in complex scenarios. For leaders wrestling with AI adoption, which is inherently ambiguous, that's a significant neurological advantage. Add Lapland's midnight sun, which extends daylight and enhances neuroplasticity, and you've got an environment optimized for absorbing complex strategic concepts.
So it's not just about getting away from the office noise. There's actual brain science supporting this. But there's also a really interesting point about digital isolation. Can you walk us through how that works?
The retreat deliberately minimizes digital distraction during deep work phases. No constant Slack notifications or email checking. Cognitive scientists call this productive constraint, and the data is compelling. Participants retain and apply new frameworks about 65% better than in standard on-site trainings. It's paradoxical. You're going there to build AI solutions, but you're doing it in a place where you're temporarily disconnected from constant digital noise.
That actually makes sense. Now, there's a real business problem underlying all this. You mentioned the McKinsey stat earlier. What's the actual challenge that companies are facing right now with AI adoption?
It's a governance gap. McKinsey's 2024 AI State of Play shows that 72% of executives say AI adoption directly influences their strategic decisions, but only 28% have established governance frameworks for responsible deployment. And then you layer on the EU AI Act, which became law in 2024 and mandates compliance for enterprise AI systems, and suddenly you've got both a strategic problem and a regulatory risk.
So the retreat is positioned to address both of those simultaneously. Let's dig into the actual curriculum. What does the first week look like for participants?
The first 2 days focus on the AI Lead Architecture Framework, essentially the strategic blueprint for aligning AI adoption with organizational capacity, compliance, and business objectives. Participants work through AI governance mapping specific to their organization, assess readiness, audit existing chatbot deployments, and stratify risk across their systems. It's not fluffy. It's serious enterprise architecture work just happening with Lapland's forests as your backdrop.
And then what happens in days 3 and 4?
That's where hands-on building begins. Participants actually construct their own AI agent using enterprise-grade frameworks. We're talking functional production-adjacent code that they can take back to their organizations. Alongside that, they develop what the program calls a golden prompt stack, optimized prompts and workflows that leverage their agent for specific business use cases. It's the bridge between I understand AI strategy and I can actually implement this.
That's a significant deliverable. So by day 4, a CEO or enterprise leader isn't just thinking differently about AI, they've actually built something. What about the second half of the week?
Days 5 through 7 shift toward integration and personal transformation. Participants workshop their AI implementation roadmaps with consultants from Ethermind, the EtherLink division that does enterprise consultancy. They're getting personalized mentorship on how to take what they've built and actually deploy it back at their organization. Plus, there's transformational leadership coaching, dealing with the change management and cultural shifts required for serious AI adoption. It's not just, here's your new agent, it's, here's how you lead your organization through this transition.
I'm curious about the practical constraints. This is a 7-day program. It's in Finland. It's $6,000. Who is actually going to commit to something like this? Is it really for every executive, or is there a specific profile?
The program caps at 8 participants, which is intentional. This isn't a scalable webinar. It's intensive, personalized work. The ideal candidate is probably a C-level executive or enterprise architect, someone with decision-making authority, real budget responsibility for AI initiatives, and genuine commitment to understanding this stuff deeply. The cost isn't prohibitive for that person. For a mid to large organization, it's trivial compared to the value of a coherent AI strategy and a leader who actually understands the technology and its risks.
Let's address something important, the EU AI Act compliance angle. That's become a really significant issue for European organizations. How does this retreat actually help with that?
The EU AI Act creates risk categories for AI systems. Some systems require full compliance documentation and testing, others are lower risk. Most corporate leaders don't deeply understand these categories or how they apply to their specific systems. During the governance mapping phase, participants work through their AI inventory, classify applications by risk, and start building the compliance infrastructure required. They're not becoming lawyers, but they're developing the framework their legal and technical teams need to actually implement compliance. That's invaluable right now. The act just went into force, and most organizations are scrambling.
So it's genuinely addressing a time-sensitive regulatory gap. What about the broader trend here? Why do you think this kind of experiential, immersive approach to leadership development is becoming more relevant?
Traditional corporate training assumes that information transfer is the bottleneck. Sit someone down, give them a presentation, they learn. But AI adoption isn't really an information problem. Most executives have heard about AI. The real barriers are psychological, cognitive, and organizational. A one-day conference doesn't rewire how you think about ambiguity and risk. But 7 days in a wilderness environment, with deep cognitive work, peer learning, and actual hands-on building, that changes how you approach problems. It's addressing the actual constraint, not the imagined one.
That's a really compelling reframe. So let's land on the practical takeaway for someone listening who might be in a leadership position. If you're considering something like this, what should you actually be thinking about?
First, be honest about whether your organization has a real AI governance gap. If you don't know how your company is using AI systems, whether they're compliant with the EU AI Act, or what the strategic roadmap actually looks like, this isn't optional thinking anymore. Second, consider the ROI. If you're leading a significant organization, 7 days of your time to build actual strategic clarity and technical literacy in AI, plus a functional agent you can bring back, that's a reasonable investment. And third, the peer cohort matters. Limit of 8 participants means you're learning alongside other executives facing similar problems. That networking alone can be valuable.
I love that grounding in practicality. Before we wrap, one last question. This approach, wilderness immersion plus deep technical work, is it replicable elsewhere, or is there something specific about Lapland that makes this work?
The neuroscience is generalizable. Any wilderness environment with real isolation and extended daylight would have similar cognitive benefits. But Lapland specifically offers something. It's remote enough to genuinely disconnect. The midnight sun period extends cognitive windows, and Taiga School's infrastructure supports both outdoor immersion and serious technical work. Plus, the European context, proximity to other EU executives, the geographical symbolism of Lapland as a place of transformation, adds psychological weight. You could run this elsewhere, but you'd lose something.
That's a great note to end on. Sam, thanks for unpacking this. For anyone interested in learning more about the AI Vision Quest or the specific details of the curriculum, head over to etherlink.ai and find the full article. If you're leading an organization navigating AI adoption and EU compliance, this is definitely worth a closer look. Thanks for listening to EtherLink AI Insights.
Thanks, Alex. Great conversation.